Hello there, friends. Today I've come out to Plantation Memorial Gardens, and I'm going to continue the talk on running meetings from HBR. Here's the book. And in this section, we're going to be talking about running specific types of meetings and some of the consideration that we need to make when we are holding those types of meetings. With no further ado, let me go ahead and get started. There are lots of good reasons to have a meeting. Although the advice in this book applies to most of them, specific types of meetings may call for different or additional strategies. Are you trying to solve a problem? Do you need to make a decision? Do you need to include individuals who are scattered around the globe? We'll cover each of those types below. The first section, solving a problem. A meeting can be the most efficient way to get all the key stakeholders in a room to focus on solving a problem, especially if there is a sensitive issue that involves a large number of people in your group. Having this conversation in real time and in person means that everyone involved will have been brought into the solution and emotions can be diffused because everyone's voice has been heard. Again, as leader, this is something important for you to manage. Make sure that you are facilitating discussion and that everyone's voice is indeed being heard. If your team is being asked to cut costs, for example, you could gather the entire group affected, identify possible solutions, and then work through with everyone's input which solutions are viable, which are not, which might be the best. When using a meeting to solve a problem, the authors advise there are a number of questions and considerations to make. 8 of them in total, and I'll run through them one by one. Number 1, find out what the participants' perceptions of the problem are. Make sure you understand your participants and all the attendees. Number 2, get agreement on the definition of the problem. Many problem-solving meetings can easily go awry because different people understand the problem differently and are trying to solve a different problem. So make sure you get agreement from everyone on what the problem actually is. Number 3, discuss how long the problem has been going on and what is happening now. This is a good introductory or sort of a question to get the juices flowing and get all the creative insights out. Discuss how long this problem has been going on so that everyone gets to hear from other people who may have been affected from earlier. Number 4, determine what the group thinks are the causes of the problem. Again, great way to get insight from different people. And this may also play into how you develop the solution for the problem. Number 5, outline the future consequences of the problem if it is not solved. And this is a good thing to ask if people are it doesn't impact them too much, so they're happy to sit back and not do anything about it. Let them know what the consequences would be. Number 6, brainstorm options for solving the problem. Clarify the advantages and disadvantages of each option. Number 7, choose the most effective method for selecting an option. Consider the key factors such as time, resources, financials, values, and so forth involved in the choice. Determine some sort of methodology by which you're going to determine what the solution is. And number 8, gain full agreement or at least a consensus on an option for problem resolution or management. The authors continue that some problems are too complex or sensitive to be solved in a single live meeting. But you can at least advance your thinking and brainstorm options with the group. Discuss it and talk about it together. After the meeting, you can assign the best options to individual meeting participants so they can research the proposed solutions further and present their thoughts at a future gathering. The next type of meeting is making a decision. Decision-making meetings, the authors say, can be tricky since there's a fine line between encouraging people to feel that a decision-making meeting is a collaborative wielding of authority and actually making a final choice that may or may not have been the most popular option. By virtue of having a meeting about making a decision, you are implicitly signaling to your team that their option and buy-in is important. The authors say implicitly. I believe that you should be explicit. You should actually say and let it be heard in the room that everyone's opinion is important in making this decision, that you want to hear their opinions. So you can't hold such a meeting and in reality feel like it's just for information gathering or to encourage participants to rubber stamp something that you've already made your mind up about. This will defeat the purpose, and the participants or your subordinates or the employees will notice. They will see through your deceitful methods. Instead, you need to be very clear to yourself and to the group how you intend to make the decision, your role as leader, and how much you want the group to take ownership of the decision. If you take time before the meeting to follow these steps, the meeting itself will flow, if not more smoothly, then at least more predictably. And the authors share a couple of aspects to consider. 1. Make it clear to all participants that the purpose of the meeting is to make a decision. That will help ensure that everyone attends, since the stakes are high, and that they have a vested interest in preparing for and participating in the meeting. So that's the first one. Let everyone know, and that way you can increase your chances that you will have high engagement in this meeting. You'll have high attendance and you will have people who are a little bit more prepared. Number 2, explain to them exactly what decision-making process will be used. This will be a majority vote meeting, or I'm going to be making a decision at the end of the meeting, but I want your input, or this committee is going to get together and make a decision. So let everyone know how the decision will be made so that they know how to present their ideas. And number 3, give everyone the right facts in advance. When you have teed up a meeting to make a decision, it's critical that you make the decision with all relevant background information and expert opinion. Otherwise, you risk making a bad decision and either having to revisit it later or living with the consequences. And in both of those situations, all of your attendees, subordinates, employees, colleagues will observe this, will notice it, and they will watch it happen and lose a little bit of trust in your ability. So make sure that decision making is treated very seriously. If your goal is to leave the meeting with a decision made, there are 3 different approaches you can take. Each approach has benefits and drawbacks. As discussed in Table 1, I will not be going through Table 1. So in this table, they basically share some advantages and disadvantages for deciding by majority vote, deciding through group consensus, and then the last one is the leader decides. They then go through virtual meetings, which I will not discuss, as virtual meetings have now become so commonplace that perhaps it's not key for all of these notes. And keep in mind, this is an older book. Maybe none of these are applicable anymore, but I'll share a few key points. The first tip that they give is use video. This goes into personalities and different types of people, and also how large the meetings are. But they do advise using video, so that way it increases engagement. Another interesting idea, and I've never had a meeting where this was the case, but they say ban the mute function. That way, everyone is part of the meeting and speaking, and you can hear everyone. So often you have meetings where everyone is muted except the person speaking. The way I typically do this, when I'm a participant, not when I'm a leader of a meeting, but when I'm a participant, if I'm expected to be speaking in the meeting, I'm always off mute, I'm always live. And if I am not, then I typically mute myself and unmute when I need to speak. But the reason that they speak about banning the mute function is so that there's more spontaneity and organic conversation that happens. Sometimes you need to jump in immediately to respond to something. And when you're fiddling around with your mouse or trying to switch screens because you're not engaged, then you lose the opportunity to have your input be a part of the meeting. Next thing they share is don't have talkers and listeners in virtual meeting. Try to have effective moderation so that everyone is a participant. And lastly, they share a few tips about when a virtual meeting won't cut it. And they mention a few things such as layoffs, and I think we all can go online and see some of that, and so I don't think I need to speak on that. There are far more educated people than I to discuss. Now, I'll go back to the decision-making table that I had spoken about earlier, because I think I will share a couple of these points. What the advantages and disadvantages of each of these types are. So again, the three options were decide by majority vote, decide through a group consensus, and the last one is the leader decides. So deciding by a majority vote, the advantages are: 1, generally allows for a decision in a relatively short period of time, and number 2, it's widely perceived by everyone to be a fair way to decide things. The disadvantages of that is it publicly creates winners and losers. If people don't get their preference implemented, then they're very publicly sort of outed. Losers feel their voices have not been heard. So no matter how much you try to get people to provide feedback and listen to them and consider what they're saying, ultimately they may not feel that their voice has been heard. And the third disadvantage is it may not end with complete buy-in. So that is deciding by majority vote. The second one, deciding through a group consensus. It usually results in complete understanding of the decision and its implications by all the participants. Greater chance of buy-in from all the parties. The disadvantages they share, and they share 3, often more difficult to reach, particularly if the group is unfamiliar with the process. So if it's the first time that the group is getting together, it may not be as effective. You need to have people that are experienced in decision making for this to work. Number 2, it usually takes more time than the other decision making approaches. And number 3, if no consensus can be reached, it effectively stops progress. And the last decision method is the leader just decides what to do. So the 2 advantages they share: This is the fastest approach to decision making. So when time is short or critical or there is a crisis, this may be the best approach to get things done. Number two, second advantage, participants will end up respecting the leader and the decision if they understand why the decision has been made. So this is where leadership and management and empathy, collaboration, communication, all of these skills come into play. You have to be able to provide the decision whilst also making sure that everyone feels their perspective has been valued. The two disadvantages with the leader deciding. Number one, participants may feel that their views have been ignored, particularly if they haven't been given a chance to state their ideas. So this is a leadership challenge. You have to make sure that you are able to conduct yourself and get input from everyone. Don't walk into the meeting with your mind already made up. And the second disadvantage, buy-in of participants is less likely than with the other decision-making approaches. Again, this goes to your personality and how well you are able to convey yourself and your values to your employees. So that was the few notes on specific types of meetings from running meetings with HBR. Thank you.